Alma Clark Gravely, Alma Bernice Clark Gravely, and the wife of Samuel L. Gravely, Jr. I am a widow as of 2004 when he died. I have had a wonderful life, and I guess you want to know when my husband and I started out. One morning, it was a Sunday morning, and we had pastors for church, and you could use them when you wanted to, and I had used one that Sunday. So I was still in bed, a little late, but in bed. And the matron came, she said, Alma, she said, you've got a guest in the lobby. And I said, well, who is it? She said, I don't know, but he's in a uniform, in a Navy uniform. And I said, well, that must be him. That's the only person I know in the Navy, you know, other than my neighborhood in my hometown. There were a few in the Navy. He was always Simon the Sailor to me. And somewhere floating around, there is a huge picture of him standing straight in his uniform. He had just gone in the Navy, and he was enlisted in the lowest rate. So I said, well, I told her to tell him I'd be out in a minute then, so I got out and put on my clothes and everything and went out. And it was Simon, and it was a Sunday, as I said, it was Sunday afternoon, or not afternoon, but around 11 or 12 o'clock, somewhere along in there. And so we went out on the front campus and sat on a bench and talked and talked and talked. And finally he realized that he had missed his bus that he was supposed to take. He caught a ride up in a truck, but he had missed his bus with us talking there, you know. So he had to take the next one. And I think he went AWOL. And that was the only time in his whole career that he was AWOL, thank goodness. He wrote constantly. And later, every day, I got a letter from him. And being lazy or not too interested or whatever, I did not write every day back to him. I did write back to him, but not every day and not every week, really. One day, this was, you know, schools were segregated at that time, and our school was not with the white schools and things. We were in different buildings on this little campus there. I had a whole house with different rooms in it there, of course. And I was in one room. I had a lot of students, in fact, 106, really. But I had to separate them into different rooms and work with them like that, but with help of a student, you know, a student help. So I was in one room taking roll, and she was in the student help, whatever was in the other room next to the door. And she came in, she said, Miss Clark, you've got a guest here. And I said, well, who is it? And tell him I would be there in just a moment. And I finished the roll, which I was almost through anyway, and went in, and I started here and went right on up there because my husband was 6'3". And he had on his long, heavy bridge coat. That's what he had on, and his hat, and he looked very, very, very nice. But I didn't expect him. I knew he was coming home on leave, to Richmond on leave, but this was, we had just come back home from Christmas. So this was like the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of January or something like that. But as I said, I knew he was going to get me on leave because the PC 1264 was being decommissioned, and that's what he was on. The USO was up the street in walking distance from me. So I asked him to go up there and wait until school was over, and I would join him there, which I did. Another teacher and I did. Somehow, we were all talked into going to Richmond. Oh, because this was, I think it must have been on a Friday, and going to Richmond. Well, we did, and we went clubbing and whatever, then that night. And we decided, we were at a club, and all of us sitting there, and girls and Sammy and one or two Army fellows, because her husband was Army and he was stationed there. They were talking about, marriage and whatever, and of course Sammy says, "Well, that's okay, Alma and I are going to get married very shortly." I looked at him and I said, "We are?" I said, "I am not going to marry you. I don't know you that well." I really had never given it a thought of being a girlfriend or, a wife. But anyway, we went to Richmond, as I said. And on the way back, riding the bus back from Richmond to Blackstone, the others were paired off, and I was alone in my seat. And for some reason, I just felt very much alone and missing him. That quickly, I just missed him, somehow. And later, a little later, so we got back home, and school went on, and life went on for a little while. And so I'm still getting letters now, though. And one day I decided that, okay, I think that might be who I would like to marry. So I wrote a letter to my mother. In the meantime, I had this picture of him in his enlisted uniform. And it was small. It was just a 3x5 picture. And I had it on my dresser there at home. And I used to call him Sammy the Sailor, because my mother and father did not know him. My sisters and brother did not know him. And they would say, "Well, who is he?" I said, "He's Sammy the Sailor," So one day, one of the teachers, after I had graduated, one of the teachers had liked me, and he would come to visit me. And I didn't, he's a nice guy, but I did not like him, nor did I love him. But he wanted to marry. So, anyway, one day my father was saying something like, Sam's, but he was much older than I, 17 years in fact. And I said, "Well, I don't plan to marry Sims, because I don't love him." And I said, "Oh, who knows?" And not thinking any more than what I'm saying. I said, "Oh, who knows? I might even marry Sammy the Sailor. Who knows?" So Anyway, time went by again, and after we came home from Richmond and whatever, I said that I wrote a letter to my mother and father. I said, I don't love Sims, and I'm not going to marry him, but I am going to marry Sammy the sailor. I wrote a letter to Sammy saying, if you're capable of selecting my rings, then I will marry you. I wrote a letter to Sims saying, you are a very, very nice guy, but I don't love you, so I'm not going to marry you. So I wrote those 3 long letters, and they were in long envelopes. And I carried them to school with me and to the post office every day after school. When we would walk, we teachers would walk to the post office. And here I have these 3 letters every day, and they know I have these. My friends, my teacher friends, know that I have these letters. These are all women, or teachers I'm talking about now. There were men there, but these are women teachers. And I would get right to the post office, and I couldn't put either one of them in the mail. So it went on and on and on like that for a little while, like about a week or so. And finally, I was writing a card. You know how they have the stands in the post office? I was writing a card or something. I was doing something there on the stand. And Elaine from Roanoke, that's the one that was married from Roanoke, came over and she said, Alma, where is your letter from Sammy? Did you mail it already? I said, no, I have it right here with the other 2. She said, well, let me see it and see what you have, what it's written. And I got it out like a nut and handed it to her. And then I continued to do what I was doing, not thinking about the fact that she has not given me that letter back yet. So I turned and I said, Elaine, where is my letter? She said, oh, I just mailed it. So that's how my letter got mailed to Sammy, that I would marry him. And it went on from then. And we did marry. We didn't have a reception at that time because of school, and he had to go back to the ship. But later we did have a reception and everything. And that's how I got married to Sammy the sailor. The ship got as far as Hawaii. And they weren't supposed to understand that they were not supposed to let him know, give him a notice or anything until he got back to San Diego. But some congressman leaked it out. And he found out when they got back to Hawaii. So one of the fellows, I don't remember which one he said, was saying, Admiral, you've got a message, that you have just made Rear Admiral. And he says, really? This is still in Hawaii. He says, really? He says, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. He knew he was up for it, but others were up also, for it. And so anyway, so the fellow says, well, we just have to give a party. We just have to celebrate. And my husband said, he told him, no, we won't, not yet. we've got to get back to San Diego, and I've got to see it in my hand before we celebrate. And so they didn't celebrate there. And they came on in, and he was told there. Well, in the meantime, I am a bowler, and this day we bowled on Tuesdays in San Diego. We were in San Diego, and we bowled on Tuesdays. And I volunteered at the thrift shop on that morning each Tuesday, and then I would go across the base and we would bowl, then. So I had volunteered, and I had gone from there over to the base, but had not turned the car radio on or anything, and had not heard any news or anything. And I'm leaning over, tying my shoes, and somebody way down the line, one of the girls hollers, "Alma, congratulations." I look up and I said, "For what?" And she said, "For Sam making Admiral, you a nut." And I said, "Really?" And that's how I found out about it. I am very, very close to both the school that is named for him, Samuel L. Gravely Jr. Elementary School, and that it is near me. I can be there in 15 minutes or less. And the ship, the USS Gravely, DDG 107. They call me when they get overseas. They've called me from Syria, they've called me from Greece, they've called me from everywhere. And I'm still close with all the skippers, and particularly the very first one that was, Doug Kinsman was the first skipper, and I'm very close to him. I'm very close to Michelle, who was the first principal. And there are all the other principals. I am very close to them. I am very, very close to our woman skipper, who took the ship over twice to Syria and brought it back safely. And I see her and I talk to her all the time. Right now she's stationed at the Pentagon and lives in Arlington there. So I'm very proud of them. But I've lived a wonderful, wonderful life with him, and we both have lived a wonderful, wonderful Navy life through, with no regrets at all. They've all taken care of me, and in one way or the other.